Hello, South Africa and the world. I've got these reading classes. They are unisex. I don't like them, but they are the ones which make me see better than the other ones. We see damage our eyes using laptops. That's me at my small Lanyana garden at home. I try. All right. Our yards must always have green. You can't be God's creation and have no green. All right. I want to address the issue of Cyril Ramaphosa and the Zulu nation. I'm saying loud and clear, Cyril Ramaphosa hates Zulu people and has been engaged in a war of maybe 3 decades even, if not 4, to destabilize the Zulu nation on behalf of his funders. Behind him are the colonialists, like white liberals, basically. Not all whites are colonialists, but many whites are allowing colonialists to define them and to confuse them and to use them for their colonial agendas. So as such, whereas during apartheid, at least Boere defined themselves as settlers, at least I can tolerate. Settlers are far patriotic, or are patriotic, not. So colonialists, they are not patriotic to those given countries. They are arch enemies of those countries. Colonialists are people who become your citizens, but they actually fight you from within to serve their own countries. So those are people who are treating South African indigenous blacks as objects, or basically slave workers for white people. And if the slave worker does not obey their white liberal or white capital will, then they get replaced by Zimbabweans, Malawians, less so Mozambicans, because there's something that white colonialists have against Mozambicans, but except in KwaZulu-Natal, where they do use them as builders, and also from Alexander and all those places. But otherwise, white colonialists do not see South Africa as a country, or at least not as a country of black South Africans. Their systems, they have set themselves as their systems have set themselves as the owners of the country, as the owners of the country, than to be citizens. Basically, according to them, blacks are their laborers, and then they, as white liberals, are the owners, the seniors of the country. So therefore, people like Cyril Ramaphosa are their tools to use against those that they target. So the people whom they are targeting at most are the Zulu people. Hence, Ramaphosa have got many systems actually to monitor activities of Zulu people, even in township like Soweto. There's strong systems via WhatsApp and other security measures to monitor Zulu people. So now, let me go therefore to Ramaphosa shortly. I will say, Terra Likota says Ramaphosa backstabbed them, and then he sold them out to the Boere. All right, that's what Terra Likota says from within their ANC ranks. So in essence, the ANC has always known who are their sellouts, but for reasons Terra Likota, Jacob Zuma, and all of them know, they opted to make the IFP to end the Zulu nation to be a nation or a political organization of sellouts and puppets of the masters of the countries, which is very interesting, because Think about it. Terra Kota knew from 1975 that Cyril Ramaphosa is an impimpi. They knew that, so but they did not say anything about their impimpis until it affected their personal lives. So that's a problem, all right. And therefore, how many impimpis have they of the ANC have they been silent about? Now coming to people like Jacob Zuma, why was it okay to allow impimpis of the ANC of Venda Malawian origins to be concealed and make impimpis of the Zulu to be the ones spoken about, as though there are no Malawians in your midst who are impimpis of the Bure or the whites, or as though there are no vendors in your midst who were the preferred impimpis of the Bure and the likes. So these are questions that I have. All right, okay. Usually it's quiet here in the morning, but yeah, I'm making a video and everybody's now out. It's a lot of noise, even a truck. Usually it's very quiet here. All right. Anyway, let's carry on with the video. I don't do editing, so you'll get all that noise in the video. I don't even know how to edit. Anyway, so Impimpis were said to be Zulus and Inkatha, whilst the ANC knew that they've got many vendor Mozambican, Malawian Impimpis in their midst. So I've got that question as a Zulu person against the ANC and Zulus of the ANC. Why was it okay for you to allow only Zulu Impimpis? Remember, I'm not saying I agree that IFP and Zulus were in Pimpi. I'm just saying, okay, let's take it that Zulus and IFP were in Pimpi. So why were they the ones singled out, not your Malawians who are running this country right now, not your vendors and the likes? So why is it easy for especially ANC Zulus to show off to other nations with their own Zulu brothers? I don't understand this. So now that part, Ramaphosa gets recruited in 1975. All right, the ANC knows. Ramaphosa say he's working for Bure, which I doubt, because I think Bure themselves were intercepted by white liberal agendas they did not realize. All right, so there's a lot of nasty which I seem to be picking up, including the murders of Steve Biko. I doubt it, he was murdered by Bure. I believe he was murdered by white liberals because he did disturb white liberals in their plans. He did actually in 1960s exit the organization they had as students at the University of Natal of white liberals. All right, when he realized the double-faced nature of white liberals, which prompted him into black consciousness. And you will realize from the 50s to date, the people who have been dying, say, in politics are those who have black consciousness or proud of their blackness or proud of their Zuluness. Hence Zuma, it looks like he's being compromised by his ANC because seemingly, whereas I took him for a bad guy, but looks like he did defend Zulu people in a way, or traditional leadership, against the schemes of the ANC. All right, there are videos I'm seeing coming out to now make him a tribalist, whereas back then he was a suitable candidate for the ANC to diffuse our so-called tribalist IFP. The IFP was never tribalist from what I remember. They were just defending every proud black nation in South Africa, and only got given the mandate to do so by the Zulu nation. So therefore they ran with that, since it's only the Zulu people who gave them the votes. So but there's no record of the IFP being tribalist, because not even in in job, in recruitments and the likes, do you see tribalism? Unlike the open and blatant tribalism of Limpopo people against Zulus here in Gauteng. Anyway, now the situation. If Zulus, all right, Ramaphosa, we are in Ramaphosa. Okay, Ramaphosa was recruited in 1975 by, they say, the apartheid agents. I believe he was recruited by white liberals hiding as Bure and apartheid agents. All right, and then Steve Biko was killed afterwards. All right, not Cyril Ramaphosa. Like, so Bukwe was killed. All right, those are black conscious people. And then it seems then in the 80s, black on black violence was started and launched, and Cyril Ramaphosa is in the COSATU, which is killing a lot of Zulus in Transvaal trains, or PWV, Johannesburg trains in particular, thrown out of moving trains because they're trying to go to work. Cyril Ramaphosa is in that COSATU, which is targeting Zulus. Cyril Ramaphosa is in the videos where you are seeing him next to White Liberal Media International and White Socialist Media International, standing by Thokoza Hostel, ducking bullets of Zulu, enemies of the people who are shooting at innocent people. All right, so as the White Liberal Media and White Socialist Media propagated further the image that Zulus are the problem in South Africa, against peaceful solution makers like Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC. So, but you're seeing again Cyril Ramaphosa's face next to white liberal media. You're seeing Cyril Ramaphosa's face there by Thokoza Hostel. He's ducking and surviving. The hero. You're seeing Cyril Ramaphosa in Siscape when there's a massacre there by Opagos. The Cyril Ramaphosa again there. All these things are coincidences, so I guess he's the hero of the ANC. There's Cyril Ramaphosa, like the other videos show, when Mandela is released from prison, he's basically the person already prepared to welcome Mandela towards clearly white liberal agenda interests. All right, now this is happening. Zulus are being scapegoated as tribalists or as murderers or as rebels, basically, who are causing instability in South Africa. All right, and then we are treated as people who were favored by Bure, but there's no evidence of that. Budget-wise, Zulus, Bure gave Zulus the least of budgets than any of the homelands. Rather, the vendors and the baddies who were the favorites of Bure, hence they were preferred workers in municipality jobs, in the police, in basically Johannesburg Water, what is called Johannesburg Water today, in electricity. They were clerks in Bure departments and the likes. In essence, they had the power to even decide who gets a house and the likes. So these are things which we went through in the 80s, 70s, 60s as Zulu people. But at that time, we didn't actually realize what was happening. All right, but the results, though, of when you look at how destroyed pure Zulu townships in Soweto are clear that there has been an agenda against the Zulu people in particular. All right, so now you see Cyril Ramaphosa in all this. And then here's the part in Sowetan newspaper 1999. The Holy Spirit makes me realize that Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC are planning to destroy the Zulu Kingdom when they establish councillors into Zulu traditional authorities. And then my very question from the onset was, but the kings, that's their job, what is being defined as what the councillors will do. So therefore, in essence, you are putting two bulls in the kraal to get rid of the other one eventually. So basically, slowly but surely. So I said, this ANC strategy is against the Zulu Kingdom. It is putting these councillors in the kingdoms in order to destroy the Zulu Kingdom. And that was the funny thing. I wrote that letter to Sowetan newspaper. Sowetan newspaper never published that letter. But 2 weeks after I wrote that letter to Sowetan newspaper, Cyril Ramaphosa responded to that letter, arguing that no, they as the ANC are not trying to put two birds in the crawl to end the Zulu nation, this and that and that. Why was Cyril Ramaphosa responding to me in a letter which was not published in the Sowetan newspaper? Right there, I said to the AFP, you can see there is a link between the ANC and the Sowetan newspaper, therefore City Press and them. Of course, the IFP never ever has a sense of agency in matters like that, because at that point I was active in IFP politics. All right, so now we saw that, and therefore that proved to me that media like Sowetan City Press were basically controlled by the ANC. It was clear cut. And no further proof, just that incident. Oh, okay, there was another incident, so I wrote a letter to Sowetan. It was one of the best letters written, and then therefore at the end I said, therefore let people support the IFP. In the 1999 elections, the Sowetan newspaper changed therefore they published the letter exactly word for what I wrote. But when I say let South Africans vote for the IFP, they changed the letter and said let South Africans vote for the ANC. That blatantly. That's what Sowetan newspaper did. I did call them. I could have run with the issue, but you know what? Again, there, I showed this matter to the IFP, and yeah, the IFP. I don't know what's wrong there, but yeah, there was no sense of agency even on that one. So those are two incidences which happened against me in the year 1999. But let's just say that 1991 made me confirm that the Cyril Ramaphosa has an agenda against the Zulu people, and therefore the Zulu Kingdom. Never mind that in 1996 I had questioned Christians as to why they say this man is a Christian who is said to have written the SA Constitution with Rolf Meyer. This Constitution is anti-God. How can a Christian write such an anti-God Constitution? But hey, abazalwane baseMahon, Grace and all these churches who loved their Ramaphosa, they obviously were defensive to their Christian. So I don't know. I guess our Christianity is not the same, because other Christians are comfortable with voting for same-sex marriages, removing God in schools, 50-50 headship in the family, and all things which are supposed to be against the Bible they say they believe in. But Christians vote for that, so us. Now, let's move now from 1999 and go on. Then we see the systematic destruction of Zulu businesses. Never mind that Zulus who operated taxis were killed a lot in the 1980s, and at that time it was made to appear as though this was done by Zulus in hostels. All right, but who was buying the Zulus in hostels? We don't know. But ultimately, when you start seeing the taxi industry shifting ownership from the Zulus who founded it to the vendors, then you start saying, surely it is their vendors who were buying the Zulu assassins, because Zulu assassins assassinate anyone, and at most they have been used to murder their own Zulus. All right, so therefore who is actually the murderer is not the Zulu assassin, but the person buying the Zulu assassin. So therefore, since the taxi industry has moved away from Zulu hands to Limpopo, therefore whoever was buying those Zulus to be murdered was Limpopo for the ANC gains. Because remember, in the 80s, Zulu or other taxis were also defined as enemies of the people. That's somehow how Thokoza violence also started, when they pitted taxi operators against the people of Thokoza. Exactly, because back then, yes, the IFP did enjoy taxi operator support, since Pat Mbata himself was an IFP chairperson and the likes. So when the ANC decided to take over the taxi industry up to Santaco and the likes, establishments for which were made for ANC interests, they ensured they kill a lot of Zulu operators, all right, to achieve that. Pat Mbata himself was killed. Many things were kind of like covered up as if political violence and the likes, but during the political violence, there was a third force which was clearly orchestrating events of South Africa towards white liberal interests, and those faces doing that keep on saying they are Ramaphosas. So Sam Shula was premier of Gauteng, and that's the period when you started seeing licenses for the taxi industry being given to Limpopo the most. That's where you started seeing a lot of Zulu taxi drivers having a tough time on the roads, where Limpopo police, because SAPS is Limpopo only in Gauteng and Mozambique. You see, the Metropolis, therefore, they stopped a Zulu, a Zulu operator felt stopped the most in the taxi they drove than a taxi that is owned by other people apart from Zulu operators. So that is one of the things which prompted one of my friends, C. Pedal, to even change his Newcastle number plates, because he realized that when he used that number plate, he got stopped too many times with his car in Pretoria, Johannesburg. All right, so there was that right there. Anyway, so a lot of Shangan vendor, Mozambican, Zimbabwean taxi operators got those licenses when Limpopo took over as owners of Gauteng. All right. Right there, the agenda became anti-Zulu. You saw the agenda of being anti-Zulu in how they've treated hostels. Hence, to this day, hostels are in the state they are in because Zulus stay there. Instead, foreigners from outside our country enjoy beautiful houses in Lifereng, Lehae. Zulus have no houses. Their hostels are broken. They stay by sewage and all the stuff because they are Zulus. That's the only reason. These are things that we see. So you look at all these RDPs, they are not the demographics of how Soweto's demographies were. So you see social engineering even there because, again, all RDP areas are anti-Zulu in terms of how many say people from Limpopo were given RDP homes versus Sowetan Zulus for that matter. So every RDP area is not aligned with the demographies of the original townships of the given area. Even Tembisa, the same thing. Ivory Park and also all those places, they are well, it is called the capital of Limpopo in Gauteng, Tembisa, isn't it? So those are things which are clear, which are happening. All government jobs. There's in Gauteng's government jobs. There's basically less than 10% Zulus. It is 80% Limpopo, and apparently that is not tribalism. That is, if Bure did that, it would have been called apartheid. But if vendors do it, it is they are educated. When did vendors get more educated than Zulus? According to which historical fact? These are questions. All right, so now you look at all those things, and then you start seeing there's a Ramaphosa behind all of this, because again, like I said, 1999, he shows his face when I pick up that there's a war against the Zulu nation. So now we write a petition in 2014 because we're sick and tired of seeing Zulus not being employed, which is why the doctors who are unemployed, you saw them marching, they are from KZN. The 60,000 nurses who are unemployed, they are in KZN. The many teachers who are unemployed, they are in KZN. Meanwhile, the vendors, especially the vendors and the ladies, but also the Shangan, they are employing Zimbabweans instead of Zulus because they've got an issue against Zulus. So therefore Zulus are jobless. Umlazi, the most educated Zulu township, is sitting at 80% unemployment rate, yet it is the most passing township educationally, yet it sits at 80% unemployment rate. And there's no tribalism in South Africa. And Zulus are tribalists, not Limpopo. No, guys, no. So now here's Ramaphosa showing face. This Zuma Ramaphosa war does have ethnicity in it, and it does have, because you see, sorry, yeah, it does have ethnicity in it, unfortunately. So it is taking the shape of being a Limpopo war against the Zulu. That is why, whether they've got their Zulu puppets of Soweto, they've got many Mazibugo, Simpanzas, Sitoles who are siding with Ramaphosa, as we know, it's fine. So, but here's the reality. Even as they side with their tribalist Ramaphosa, reality is, even when Ramaphosa bought ANC elections using European Union's money as funded to him, like white Europeans confessed. So with that money, he basically bought the ANC presidency, buying even these sellout Zulus, and then also in his election, don't we remember that Limpopo, therefore in the ANC, pushed that there must be no Zulu in the top 6 of the ANC? Was that not a Zulu attack? Now, when the SANDF all these years is not recruiting Zulus, when the SAPS is not recruiting Zulus, when the security companies are filling those spaces, purging Zulus and bringing Limpopo only and Zimbabwe, was it not in order to prepare the Limpopo government called South African for the day they've got to face the Zulu people? Because the reality is, this has become an ethnic war, and it is not new, it is old. Let me leave this at this for now. I've had a lot of disturbances and this video has gone for too long, but I would say, Limpopo, you are at war with Zulu people. I don't remember Zulu people fighting with you. I don't remember Zulus being tribalist against anybody. At least people who are supposed to be accusing Zulus of tribalism are Xhosas and Basotho, because those are people we've lived with throughout our lives, but we've never had those accusations. But we are having those accusations from tribalists of Limpopo. I ask you to speak to your own hearts, and any of you who's a Christian, to speak to Jesus Christ, because the tribalism of Limpopo and the hatred against Zulu people is not healthy for the future of the country. In Rwanda, it caused a genocide which decimated 800,000 Tutsis in 3 months. Right? The Tutsis were used by Belgian whites the same way you vendors and baddies and minorities are being used against the Zulu. Let's be careful, because things like these are not sustainable. Your tribalism is not helping South Africa. It is endangering the country. No, the SANDF cannot kill all 8 million Zulus, all right? It cannot, all right, by the time your SANDF, your tribalist SANDF, by the time you dare kill 1,000 Zulus, this country is over. So stop it. Your Ramaphosa is a tribalist. He's Malawian, Zimbabwean, by the way, because most of those people were registered as vendor here. So can the vendor people stop tribalism and have respect for other people? Thank you.